guys, it's Miss Coker. This week we are going to learn about lines and shapes, and it is a lesson to show you that anybody can draw. A lot of times I hear people say, I can't draw, but if you can write letters, write numbers, write your name, then you can draw. Drawing can be taught, and it's all about learning the elements of shape, okay? I've uploaded this worksheet, and if you can make dots and circles and lines, then you can draw. And I'm going to teach you how to look at things and how to identify the shapes in them, and then how to break that down and how to draw. So the lesson that we're starting today is going to be a two-part lesson. So you'll draw today, and then you'll hold on to it, and we'll add color to it next time. Okay, so make sure you don't lose it. Have a folder or something to put it in. You are going to be using a Sharpie if you have it, a black Sharpie, and there are some Sharpie rules that you have to follow, okay? Sharpies are permanent markers. You cannot color on anything except the paper that we're using. You cannot smell the Sharpies. Sharpies are permanent markers, which means they have a chemical in them, and they have a really weird smell to them, and some people like to smell those. Well, that can be dangerous to you if you do that too much. So the rule in the art room is, if I see you smelling a Sharpie, you're telling me that you're too young, you're too much of a baby still, and that you should not have a permanent marker. So I'll take that permanent marker from you until you show me that you have some control and that you understand it can be dangerous for you, okay? So make sure you're using it responsibly. If you don't have a Sharpie, totally fine. Use a black crayon, okay? And the reason I want you to use a crayon instead of a black marker is because black markers, when they get wet, or any kind of these markers when they get wet, they run. And we're gonna be adding some water to it later, and I don't want your drawing to run. So black Sharpie or black crayon, either one. I have uploaded a worksheet, this worksheet for everybody, and then a second worksheet for my 4th and 5th graders. So make sure you check out all of the attachments that are with the lesson today. And remember that it's recorded, so if I go too fast, you can pause it. Take your time doing your drawing, and then hit play or rewind it, okay? Don't ever feel like, oh, she's going too fast, I can't do this. Just pause me. I'm always there, okay? I want you to take your time. I want you to do your absolute best work. Nobody should finish this in 10 or 15 minutes. It's just not possible. It took me forever, and I've been teaching art for 20 years, okay? So best work, keep it neat, and I can't wait to see him next week, okay? So here we go. Anybody can draw, anybody in the world. If you can write a number, if you can write a letter, if you can write your name, if you can draw a circle, you can draw a picture. It's all in how you look at something. And if you know these elements of a shape, and there's just 5 of them, then you can draw. So we're going to learn those today, okay? So the first group that we're going to talk about is called the dot and the circle family. It's these two families right here. This first one is called the dot family. The second one is called the circle family. Now, look at those two families. What do you notice about those two families? If you said they have all the same shapes, you're absolutely right. In both families, they have the same shapes. They have a circle, they have an oval, they have an ellipse, and they have a kidney. What else do you notice about them? One of the families is colored in, one of the families is not. So the family that's colored in, that's our dot family, okay? So if we're drawing a picture and I tell you to draw me a small dot, then you know that by me using the word dot, that you should draw a circle and then color it in, because I said dot. If I say draw me a small circle, you're gonna draw me something that looks like this, And you're not going to say, but Miss Coker, do I color that in? Because we've just learned our vocabulary. And if I had wanted you to color it in, what would I have told you to draw? That's right. I would have said, please draw me a dot. So art vocabulary is very important to learn. So if I ask you to draw a dot, you're going to do what? Color it in. If I asked you to draw a circle, you're just going to leave it empty. Okay? Another thing to notice about these two families is there are no straight lines or pointy corners anywhere. They're all curved. Okay? So keep that in mind. Now we're going to talk about the line families. These are some of my favorites. This right here, this is the straight line family. Okay? No curved edges, no pointy corners. They're just going in straight lines. Some of them are thin, some of them are thick or bold. They can go sideways, they can go up and down, they can go this way, which is called diagonal. They can hang out together in groups like families do. This is called a dashed line. Some people call that a dotted line, but we just learned that dots are circles that are colored in. Does that look like a dot? No. So start calling this a dashed line. That's what that means. Small line segments put together. Line segments. What other course that we study do we use the word line segment? If you said math, you get a point. Good job. All right, so that's the straight line family. The curved line family, you guessed it, there are no straight lines anywhere in there. They're all curved, okay? Curved, curve, 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 curve. This is my favorite. This is called the spiral or the swirl, however you want to call it. I'm going to teach you the coolest thing about the swirl. A lot of people draw a swirl like this. They'll start out here and they'll go in, which is great, but that's as big as your swirl can be. If you will start your swirl in the middle with just a dot and then take that dot on a walk in a circle, watch this. Then my swirl can get bigger and bigger and bigger, and it can get as big as I want it to be before I stop it, but only if I start in the middle. If I start on the outside and go in, it can only be that big. Okay, so that's how you draw a swirl, and that swirl is part of the curved line family. All right, last line family, the angled line family. There are no curved lines in here. It's made up of straight lines that come together to form a point, okay? So we've got this line here. What's that look like? An upside down check mark. Yep. So it goes up, comes to a point, and goes off at another angle. What letter does this look like? A V. And what about this one? An L. Good. Okay, all of these are angle line families. Okay? Now, can you write the letters of the alphabet? Yes, I bet most of you can do that easily. They're all made up of these lines right here. Okay? If I were to ask you a letter that would be the angle line family, that's not the V or the L, because we just talked about them, what would you say? Think about it. If you said a capital A, you would be correct. If you said a capital E or a capital F, capital I, a W, an X, all of those are correct. Can you think of a letter that would be in the curved line family? If you said C or S or O, you would be absolutely correct. So, if you can draw these lines And these dots and these circles, guess what you can do? You can draw. Yep. So this week we are going to make some art using what we've just learned with the circles and the lines and the dots. And I'm going to talk you through a drawing. So what you're going to need, a piece of paper. It could be anything, okay? If you're at home and you don't have paper, if you don't have a printer and you can't get a piece of copy paper, get a piece of notebook paper. It doesn't matter if it has lines on it. If you have an empty cereal box or an empty, any kind of box, undo it, cut part of it off, use that to draw on. If you have an old book that nobody's using and that your mom says is okay, take a page out of that. It doesn't matter. An artist finds anything they can to make art on. So you need one piece of paper. If you have a Sharpie, you need a Sharpie. If you don't have a Sharpie, you need a black crayon. Now, I don't want you to use a regular black marker. Don't use that. And there's a reason, and I'll explain that later. So either a black Sharpie or a black crayon, okay? Those are the materials that you need. And then I will talk you through the project, no matter which. I think I'm gonna use my crayon for this. All right, you can have your paper this way, which is called portrait. You can have your paper this way, which is called landscape. It does not matter to me. You make the choice. I'm gonna call out types of lines and dots and circles, and you decide where you wanna put it on your paper. Yours does not need to look exactly like mine. You can if you want to, but you don't have to, okay? This piece of paper, I uploaded onto Schoology. You can pull that up and look at it if you want to, okay? So here we go. Somewhere on your paper, I want you to draw a straight line that goes from one side of the paper to the other side of the paper. So anywhere on that paper, draw me a straight line. Doesn't have to be where I put mine, can be anywhere. But it does need to go off the page. Somewhere on this paper, I want you to draw what's called a zigzag line. That would be a member of the angle line family. It's gonna go up to a point, down to a point, up to a point, down to a point, up to a point, down to a point, and keep doing that until it goes off the page. Again, can be anywhere on your paper, does not matter. Now, if you started your paper landscape, I want you to turn it portrait. If you started it portrait, I want you to turn it landscape. Now I want you to draw a curved line or a wavy line from one side to the other. Make your waves big, don't make them teeny tiny. Somewhere on your paper, I want you to draw a medium-sized dot. And if it's a dot, what do we have to do? That's right, we have to color it in. And if you're using crayon, I want you to press down really hard to get all the white space gone. And that makes it a dot instead of a circle. Somewhere else on your paper, crossing a line, doesn't matter what line, I want you to draw a bigger circle. If I'm going too fast, you can pause, you can rewind, rewatch. Somewhere on the wavy line, I want you to make 4 straight lines that are grouped together. Can be any size. Those are our diagonal lines. Now we're going to add one more shape. And it's my favorite shape. Do you remember what I said my favorite shape was? That's right, the swirl. And remember, we're going to start in the middle and we're going to take that dot for a walk. Now, if you drew big like I did, you've got lots of space everywhere. I'm going to start right here on this line. I'm going to put my dot and I'm going to start walking it around. And when I get it as big as I want it, I'm going to stop. And I might let it come back to touch that last line to kind of give it an end point, but you don't have to. Okay. And now we're going to finish off this drawing for the week with a dashed line that goes all the way around our paper. It's close to the edge. It's going to be a border, kind of frames your paper. And you see how I turn my paper so it's easier for me to draw? I'm right-handed, so it's easier for me to do everything on the right side. And I'm keeping it a little in from the very edge of the page. I have a little white space from the side of the page. And once you get finished with that, this is our line and shape drawing. We're gonna hold on to that. I want you to put that somewhere safe where it's not gonna get messed up. Don't fold it up, don't crumple it up, because the next lesson we're gonna take it back out and we're gonna talk about color and how to add color to it. But don't do that yet, okay? I wanna show you some little tricks that I've learned. So hold on to that. Print this out if you're at home and you have a printer, or just keep this to where you can refer to it. Everything that we learn in art this year is going to be based on all of this. And if you can do this, you can do anything in art that we're going to do. Okay? All right, so I hope you had fun making those, and I can't wait to see them next week when we add color to it. So be ready with that. Make sure you put it in a safe place. Make sure you bring it back for the next lesson. Okay? Hope y'all have a great week. Love you. See ya. Bye.